Thanks very much. Thank you for inviting me. As I say, I'm Patrick Muir. I'm CMO of Sherpa. And we're going to do a quick spin through some of what it takes to bring a groundbreaking business to market. And all of you involved in your own startups, your own enterprises, don't need to hear this from me, that it's a hard road. It's a very hard road. There are incumbent competitors, stringent regulations, particularly if you're in a highly regulated part of the market, like insurance. Often, if you're doing something new for the first time, there's no clear path for investors. There's nothing that's gone before that they can follow and say, okay, we know where this is going, we know the right questions to ask. And the customers are basically used to the status quo. So it's all about disruption, and we should really have had a disruption swear box at an event like this, or play the disruption drinking game, so every time we mention disruption, someone takes a shot. But then I guess by now there wouldn't be so many people in the room. So it's a very overused word. But the truth is, nobody really wants disruption. Disruption is an unhelpful thing in the world. The customers don't really like it. They're very used to doing things in a certain way, and you're coming along with something new, and that means now they have to change. Customers, as a rule, don't really like change. Your industry doesn't like it. You're coming along, you're threatening to change their status quo, maybe disrupt the value chain in some way, so they're your enemy. Your regulator, if you have one, doesn't like it, because it may be you're now creating a new rule book that their current rule book doesn't take into account. When we first started doing internet banking back in 1998, our regulator in the UK had no idea what to do with us when we were setting up Egg. The advertising regulator had no idea what to do with internet advertising, wanted to try and treat every little banner and button like it was a unique ad and had to have all the disclosures and stuff attached. So it took a long time to bring them along the journey. And potential investors won't particularly like your disruption until you've already proved that it works and it's monetized. But mainly it's about customers, and it's about customers having to get outside their comfort zone and do something they're not used to. So how do we go about disrupting our market? Well, I always like to think there's two sorts of disruption. There's conscious consumer disruption and unconscious. So conscious is where we've got something, it's a big idea, it's a very exciting idea, and we want everyone to stop exactly what they're doing now and do this new thing in a part of the industry that they're used to doing it in. And unconscious disruption is where we can subvert existing customer behavior by taking our big disruption and breaking it down to a smaller component where we can pinpoint a real consumer problem we're solving. And then the big disruption is in effect made up of lots and lots of those smaller disruptions. I've done both. The big conscious consumer disruption is very exciting, and when it works and it takes off, it usually requires a shed load of money behind it, both to tell people about what you're doing, but then also to deal with the massive J-curve that you're going to create along the way. So you need some very deep pockets behind you. And the unconscious disruption, there's a lot more examples of that in the world that have worked. Because people don't resist change as such. As a race, humans are very keen on changing. Our entire history is made up of dealing with change and facilitating change and embracing it. What we don't like as people is being changed. So we have to take customers with us on any journey. So at Sherpa is designed to be a pretty bloody big disruption, if I'm honest, if we get it right. So we started off by asking our potential customers, what would help make insurance more useful? Sounds like the dullest question in the world, doesn't it? But in short, consumers don't think that just digitizing the current industry is going to solve their problems. And a lot of what you hear about today in insurtech is basically taking the same old existing model that's been there for centuries and actually using the internet or mobile in some way, in some part of that journey. They told us some things we expected to hear, that no one has yet cracked a digital end-to-end experience that's truly world-class. And so we asked, okay, well, what would insurance look like if it wasn't run by insurance companies? It would look pretty different to the way it looks now, because the insurance industry hasn't really changed in 200 years. So if we go back a brief potted history of insurance in the world, started off back in the Lloyd's coffee houses back in 1700 and something. You were going on a voyage. You were going to go over to the Spice Islands. You were going to buy some spice in your ship, bring it back, sell it for a fortune in London. You didn't want to basically lose everything if the ship went down or the crew ran off, so you went and you bought an insurance policy and you went around a bunch of people smoking pipes in wigs in a coffee house. Will you take a line of risk for my voyage? Bingo, you got insurance. Your owner of the ship said, right, you can set sail, and off you went. Roll forward a few years, people said, well, this is very good. We've got people coming up getting individual risk. We don't need to do that. We can package it all up into one policy. Then we can go around and find people and they'll buy that policy. So the whole concept of insurance selling was born. So now we have people going door to door. The man from the Pru in the UK going up, knocking on the door. So would you like some life insurance? Yes, I have life insurance. Hand you a policy, you hand over your money. People say, well, that's a funny way of doing it. People have lots of different things. So I'll set up a shop at the high street called a broker. Now people will come to me, ask me what I need, and I will go through the process with them, and I'll sell them lots of different insurance policies. Then someone said, well, why don't we do this direct? So you don't need to go to the broker. I can pick up a phone. Then the internet came along, the comparison engine was bought, and the whole thing goes around again. Pause for breath. So now I've got comparison engine where the whole business of quotes comes from. So now we've got an industry based on selling policies and getting lots and lots and lots and lots of quotes. So we thought, what if we changed that completely? What if instead of getting lots and lots of quotes for lots and lots of policies, having to do it every year because the industry doesn't like you very much, it's probably the only industry in the world where customer advocacy is actually penalized. So if I don't continue to go and get quotes and continue to negotiate, my premium is going to go up. What if we said, well, actually, you're the risk, you're the thing we have to cover, and we create a single insurance account just for the individual. No products, no lots and lots of policies, just a single product designed for you with only the cover you need that potentially can change as your circumstances change. And people say, oh yes, you're going to create an insurance account just for me. That means you're going to phone me up every 5 minutes and say, your circumstances have changed. You must have some more insurance and you'll make more money. We said, well, no. But then we thought about it and thought, well, what if we disaggregated the whole selling you stuff and asking you about stuff and getting commission from the actual conversation we were having with our customers, and we actually called it a membership. So you become a member of this company. And that's the money we'd make. You have a membership fee, and for that fee, that gave you access to all of this stuff, all of these areas where you could cover your risk. We'd make no commission on whether you had more or less insurance, and then you'd basically trust us to make the right calls and have the right conversations with you. And you'd be getting all of your insurance, if you like, wholesale price, straight from the factory. So this is very new. We've done some research, we've been trying it out. Customers really, really like the idea, but it's a pretty big disruption. In fact, it's a paradigm shift. And customers, when they get it wholesale, but we need to take them on the journey with us. And that's a big, big market with a big, big group of people. So what we need to do is identify a subset of customers where the new model is a perfect solution and has a utility, where the end proposition is strong enough to pull the customer through the process. We had exactly the same thing when we were doing the first internet-only bank accounts at Egg in the UK. This was a time when the internet basically, if you met someone who bought a CD or a book, they were considered pretty racy, and they probably worked in the IT industry at the time. So getting people to part with their money and open up a savings account online was a fairly scary thing. So we had to create a customer journey and a price proposition that was strong enough to pull them through the process. And this is very much the approach we're taking at Sherpa, is looking for small groups of people where we can take our big disruption, our conscious disruption, and break it down into small unconscious chunks where we can solve individual customer problems one at a time. Because the best way to eat an elephant is one bite at a time. And that's basically the approach we're taking. So throughout the whole process of developing Sherpa and the fundraising and the recruitment and everything else that's been going on, the mission, the vision of what the business is trying to do has never changed. But in order to get customers to absorb it, and in order to get investors to absorb it and the regulator to absorb it, if we can break it down to small groups of people where there's distinct utility for that product, that account, and build perfect products for them, then eventually it will encompass the whole of the market, and global domination will effectively be ours and will have changed the way all of you buy and cover yourself for insurance risk. Thank you very much.